Go.
Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, January 8th. It is now 7 p.m. Town Council and Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Happy New Year to everybody here. And John, will you lead us in prayer?
Bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we stand before you this evening asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and fill us with your grace as we seek to represent the good citizens of West Warwick with honor and integrity. May our personal faith give us the strength to act accordingly and honestly in all matters that come before us. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Jay, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Licciardi?
Here.
Councilman Messier?
Here.
Councilwoman Williamson? Here. Council Vice President D'Amico?
Here.
Council President Goslin?
Here.
There is a quorum. Appointment of West Warwick Police Chief and authorization to execute employment agreement.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Move in second. Discussion. Mr. Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. It is my privilege to recommend Mark A. Knott to be appointed as the next Chief of Police for the West Warwick Police Department, succeeding Colonel John McGarrett, who retired last August. After a thorough application process, he stood out as the top candidate. I have worked with Mark for almost 6 months now as interim chief, and he has exhibited all the qualities that one would expect and hope for in a chief of police. I'm very confident that the West Warwick Police Department and the community and citizens of the town of West Warwick will be in good hands for many years to come.
Thank you. Any questions for the manager? Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Come on up, Chief.
I would just like to say that having worked with Mark for a little over 5 years, almost on a daily basis, it's just an honor and privilege to be swearing you in tonight. Want to raise your right hand? After me. I, say your name,
I, Mark Knott,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and obey the laws of the United States of America
and the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations,
and the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations,
and I will in all respects
and I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the town of West Warwick,
and ordinances of the town of West Warwick,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Police Chief of the town of West Warwick,
of Police Chief of the town of West Warwick,
so help you God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Mark, I noticed you put her glasses on. Can
I know, I did not do that. I
Of course, extra case, just in case.
This is your last one.
Let's make sure.
Last pin.
It's not official if he doesn't believe.
Mike is all yours.
All right. All right, I've been recovering, well, actually, I'm not even in recovery yet, suffering from a cold from a couple days, and we're standing room only, so I'll keep this brief. I know everyone wants to get on with the challenge, but I am honored serve the citizens of West Warwick in my hometown as police chief. I'm in my 25th year, and I'm honored and humbled to be able to continue to do that. I work with a dedicated group of men and women who do a tremendous job day in and day out under sometimes difficult circumstances, and I honor and respect the job that they do. And I vow to keep them shielded from what I would term the unnecessary politics of the job, to be able to provide them with the training, the tools, and the direction to be able to do their job safely and efficiently during my time as chief. There's a lot of people to thank, and I know I forget some, but don't be slighted if I don't mention you, but there's a lot of people here and a lot that aren't here that had a role in my career and the success of the West Warwick Police Department. First, the town manager and the town council for their faith and support in choosing me. Again, I'm honored to be here. To my fellow department heads and fellow town workers who, for their fellowship and their cooperative efforts to serve the citizens of West Warwick. To my friends in the judiciary, the legislature, the Police Chiefs Association, and my fellow law enforcement colleagues for their 25 plus years of guidance and peer support. Because I take that on from them. That's something that's been near and dear to my heart during the bulk of my career, but I think I get it as much as I can give it. To my fellow colleagues here from West Warwick Police Department, thank you for your dedication and loyalty. To my mentors, especially Chiefs Ramsey, Magera, and Silva, my confidants over the course of my career, my lifelong friends since kindergarten, Captain Peter McConaughey, my academy classmate, Lieutenant, soon-to-be Captain John Malloy, and someone who was probably most sadly missed was one of my confidants, Major Roland Kutu, since departed. My personal friends, both old and new, I see a lot of them here. David Eccleston, some of my volleyball teammates, scouters from Pack and Troop Lenardic, and again, friends from my youth, career, sports. I'm honored that they're here tonight. To those who wrote letters of recommendations for me during this quest, Fire Chief Barris, Judge Brunero, Attorney DiFiore, Richard Crino, Jack Flanagan, and Superintendent Tarasevich. My relatives, mentors, and parents for bearing with me for now 48 years and helping to set the foundation for what I hope to continue to be just a good person who can do what's right, do the right thing at the right time and for the right reasons. A quote that I stole from a photographer. Specifically, to my wife Nicole, who has tolerated my quest to be a police officer. I think it was my junior year at University of Rhode Island when I announced that my business major of finance and insurance wasn't really what I wanted to do. I was going to finish my degree, but I started the quest for the police search then, and I was honored that I ended up getting selected and hired by my hometown. It was probably one of 5 or 6 departments that I applied for, and that was the luck that had it. You know, law enforcement has a lot of highs and lows and sacrifices that come with being part of the law enforcement family, and she's tolerated it all, and hopefully will continue to tolerate it. My children, Brendan, Kylie, and Devin, they never cease to remind me, as they always have and will continue to do now, that I never was a chief at home, and I certainly am not now. I understand that, and I cherish the at-home moments. I think most of my guy supporters and friends are all good with the handshakes, the fist bumps, and the bro hugs. But I wanted to do a special token for the special women in my life. So if they could just come up for a moment. My wife Nicole, my daughter Kylie, my mother Christine, and my work wife Anne Marie. One towel's not enough.
It's a little bit.
although Anne Marie is my work wife, based on the age of our department, sadly, she can also qualify for mom to most of them.
You just fell off the ledge.
She's the one that said it first.
Everybody get over there. Ready?
Sorry.
One more. Thank you.
Again, thank you all. I'm humbled that you're all here. I look forward to a positive ride here in West Warwick. You're all welcome once you escape the council chambers, whether you're staying for the meeting or escaping with Nicole and I to go across the street to the American Legion for a little celebration. So, thank you.
We'll be taking a couple-minute recess, because I know it's going to be a little hectic with people leaving and coming and going, whatever it may be. So, 2 to 5 minutes. Thank you. Recess is over. No sergeant tonight, so.
I'm good, thank you.
Chief, we don't have a sergeant tonight. Do you mind if you just ask them to? We can only shut one. You know the laws on that one.
I found the number on the email I called.
They're gonna send an email out tomorrow, Deb's gonna.
I just called directly.
But I think it was important that we get a table this year, that we're not all just looking for a place to sit.
Oh, that was last year, right?
Yeah. It's important we have a table. We shouldn't be like walking
No,
through the
right.
place.
Dave, you can do a motion to reconvene yesterday.
Motion for recess to be over.
All right, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're back in session.
Minutes of the previous meeting, resolved that the minutes of the December 11, 2018 Town Council Executive Session, December 11, 2018 show cause hearing, and December 18, 2018 Town Council meeting are hereby accepted.
Move the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consent agendas, license applications, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed of or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
Move the resolution. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes?
on the University Orthopedics, Inc., that's the matter that's at 325 Quaker Lane. That's the matter that's involved in the bankruptcy with Neighbors Legacy Holdings, Inc., Southern Texas. The bankruptcy number is 18-33836. I would just suggest holding off passing or approving this license until we can get further information about the property that's located at 325 Quaker Lane and the status of the taxes, both the pre-filing of the bankruptcy petition and the post-filing of the bankruptcy petition. I'm going to contact their attorney tomorrow to find out what's going on, but I'm assured that the original property that the town taxed as tangibles is still in existence on that property, and we just want to get more information as it relates to where we stand, not only with the taxes, but how they were able to open using this equipment while the bankruptcy was pending in Southern Texas.
Any questions on that? I know the tax collector also sent us an email on that today. I just need a motion to remove.
I'll make a motion to remove University Orthopedics.
Second.
Moving second to remove University Orthopedics. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes
I'm
have
going
it.
to recuse myself from the rest of them.
And I need to recuse myself from Astronova. Tom Blackington was an employee of mine and also a friend.
Was?
Well, he was an employee up until about 6 months ago.
Okay. So you just want to recuse yourself from everything?
Do
A
that?
little easier.
That's fine.
You just need a motion.
Jay, what's
Jay,
the
he's recused himself from everything, so is John.
Okay.
You don't have to recuse himself. You don't have to. So I have a motion to move the licenses. Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Any comment? Any public comment? Hearing none. What's the matter, Mary?
Who made the motion?
I did.
You-
I second the motion.
Go ahead, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
So,
Come back, gentlemen.
So quick question on this, just curiosity. What happens if three of us had to recuse ourselves?
There was only one on there, if we needed
No,
to do
I'm
that.
just
If it was,
Curious,
if it got down to that, we'd have to.
wait, that matter is not on the agenda, so you're really not appropriate for comment, but if that did occur, there's a way we can handle that, and I believe when there's a discussion about the workshop that's coming up regarding council policies and procedures, we can get that at that point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Because believe it or not, it did happen one time about 20 years ago when 4 of the members all recused themselves. I think it was somebody came up and John Rock said, he shops in my store. Rick Padula said, I write his insurance. Bob Moorhead said, his children go to my daycare, and the 4th one, so there's only 2, but it can be resolved.
All right.
Correspondence, consent agenda correspondence, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Reappointment of tree warden, resolved that the town council hereby reappoints the following individual to serve as the tree warden for the town of West Warwick per state requirement from the Town of Environmental Management.
Move the resolution.
Do I have a
Second.
Moving second, discussion?
I'll move the name of Mark Major.
Second.
Moving second, Mark Magara, he's been tree warden for many years now. And once again, he's up for renewal. Any questions? Any public comment? Mr. Boucher, just go to the microphone, just go to the microphone.
Is that a compensated position?
Not really,
Okay,
thank you. Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Reports, town manager's report.
Before we move on, Mr. Manager, I just want to point out, later on in the agenda, there's, let me just go back, I'm sorry, just got the wrong. Later on in the agenda, there's the Spotnik versus West Warwick. And if you look at that, it basically doesn't really have any concerns with what the council did. What they have concerns with is the way ward reports is written, and they would want it to be more specific. At that point, as I'm reading this, I think they would want the manager's report to be item-specific also. So do you have items that are pressing, or can we wait till the next meeting next week?
You can wait till the next meeting.
And then when you do your town manager report, you just gotta put, like, right now, your quarterly director reports, West Warwick Civic Center tax assessment, that is acceptable. But the way it's just blank town manager report, you should put, they are requesting that. That's why I did not put, and that's why later on in discussion, I'll get into that. So do you wanna bypass your report for
Yes.
tonight?
And if I may, Mr. President, Mr. Zelinski and I met last week and discussed most if not all of what you just mentioned as it relates to being more specific in some of these reports, so we can stay in line with what the Supreme Court has said and what the Attorney General has said about the Open Meetings Act.
With that being said, we'll move on to quarterly director reports. And when we get to that, I'd like to let the tax collector go first, because she did send me an email earlier today she does have somewhere to be tonight, so it's okay if nobody has a problem if the tax collector goes first. Any questions, concerns?
Have to make a
Rose?
motion.
No, it's just reports.
Good evening. This is our tax collector's quarterly report for October 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. Does anyone?
We have,
You know,
yeah, we got it.
oh, you do? Yes, I made them just in case. The collection rate for the fiscal year 19 as of December 31st, 2018 is 56%. And in the back, there's a trial balance report that I printed, so you can see where it reflects that. We are currently processing December mail-in payments and also collecting third quarter payments. The monthly deposits for collecting taxes at the local banks in town, which are Centerville, Citizens, and Ocean State, deposit total was $639,978.60 for the months of October and November. That does not include December, which has not yet been done due to the fact that we're still processing December mail-in payments. We got to get those in before we can reconcile the December banks. The total collected for fiscal year 19 as of November 2018 for the banks, and this means that taxpayers go to the bank and make their payments at the bank. That's what this is $2,036,295.93. The ACH quarterly collection for October 15th consisted of 239 accounts totaling $204,715.37. Mortgage company electronic wiring totals. This is our second quarter deposit that mortgage companies pay electronically. The deposit was $4,860,224.73. And you can see the breakdown of the number of accounts and the mortgage company names. Our tax offset program collections as of 12/18/2018 is $10,144.56 for fiscal year 19. On October 29th, we printed and mailed in-house 3,587 tax offset notices, and that includes which consisted of delinquent taxes for 2017 and prior for real estate, motor vehicle, tangible, sewer assessment. We can attach the taxpayers' income taxes, the state income taxes. That's what that program is. And per the state law, we have to give the taxpayers 30 days to pay their delinquent taxes before we send the file in December. So once we completed processing the month of November payments, the tax offset file was generated and we sent it to the state electronically on the 18th of December. So everyone, now the state gets that, and then they'll start collecting. When people start filing their income taxes, they'll start collecting the money and they'll send it to us electronically as well. And on November 12, 2018, a file was sent to the state regarding the Rhode Island Integrated System Program. It's the DMV program where we do not let them register their motor vehicles until they pay up on their delinquent motor vehicle taxes. And we process a report to the DMV twice a year, one in the month of November and one in the month of May, and that was done on the 12th of November. And Rossi Law delinquent monthly collections for October and November were $8,466.32. I just got the report for December in the mail, so I didn't process December for Rossi. So there is a missing collection for December. And fiscal year 2019 total collected as of November 2018 is $18,298.35, and that's just for Rossi. And then last but not least, the tax sale date is scheduled for May 9th, 2019.
Any questions for Rose? Thank you, Rose.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
West Warwick Civic Center.
Am I allowed to give them a copy of this? Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening.
All right, so monitoring the overall budget of the Civic Center, we have spent 41.63%. You guys all have copies, correct? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I meant to ask you that first. There's a few line items that we've either exhausted already or are very, very close to. The first one is being the overtime budget. There's two main reasons for that. The first one being that the first shift building supervisor position was vacant from July 1 to September 1, so that had to be filled in with all overtime and all that good stuff, which ends up going over there. And then the second reason is the hours of the full-time positions and the hours of the actual busy rental times, they don't coexist with each other. They just, no matter what you do, they're not going to coexist with each other. So that's just something that maybe down the line that we can work on. The next item was the equipment budget. So this was before me, before most of the people here. There were 2 Zambonis bought, and we were only made aware of one of them. Apparently the second one has kicked in to start to be paid. So that's why that line will be
There's
exhausted.
always been 2 Zambonis.
There's always been 2 Zambonis, yes.
Okay,
There was just 2, the way that the payment structure was set up, and that was set up in February of 2016, and it was to pay one, and once one was fully paid off, then a whole nother lease came into play, and that was just discovered, so.
How long is that lease for?
Until 2022. So, staffing, we still do have 1 full-time union position person that is out. I did ask, and there still is no return date for this employee. But other than that, the facility is fully filled with the full-timers, part-timers, concession stand, wonderful staff that I have right now. So I'm really, really happy with everyone that's there. Everyone seems to be working together as a really nice team, and you know, that's a breath of fresh air. The field house, you know, for the most part, we're really, really full until mid-April. I do have like a few like little offset hours, but I mean, everybody wants to come in, you know, between 5 and 9, Monday through Friday, and I just don't have those. But I'm trying to fill in those little other hours here and there. The ice rink, we have started our bookings for summer, spring, summer, and fall. The changes for the Rhode Island Interscholastic, they have been very challenging, I will say the least. I've learned a lot about hockey this year. It's definitely something I didn't know that I would learn, but I've learned a lot. You know, and it seems to be working out very well. I think that the way that it is working with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, and that we're collecting the door, and I think that, and they're paying for the ice, at the end we will make out better than we did with Rhode Island Interscholastic. I do have a meeting on Thursday with all the other rinks, and it's just to go over, because once the playoffs come in, they want to come back in and they want to collect the door and whatnot. So I will let you all know how it goes after Thursday with everyone. So with going back to the hours not being conducive, so with the employees being there, so I came up with the idea of doing public skating and the stick and puck the Monday through Friday from 9 to 1. And so far we've gotten $1,783 since December 1st. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's not, you know, we're not making millions, but I mean, we're making money. It's just, you know, it kind of works. The next meeting I will come with the events that are already booked to come forth between you guys so that you can prove them all, so that we can have lots of fun events there. And the summary of the summer camp, I won't get into like the payment and all that stuff. We had about 140 kids that came. We used First Students, the West Warwick First Students, for transportation. We went on about 20 trips throughout the year. The days that we did stay at the Civic Center, we just had, you know, just little things that came, like whether it was, we had Marvelous Marvin, we had a petting zoo, we did ice skating, we went on little hikes throughout the property, and it was good. So the revenue that was collected, I believe that you guys have an error on yours, as I wrote the 750 twice. The second number should be, the expenses number should be $50,824.47, leaving a profit of $2,925.53. Combined with the profit that I made from 2017 for the program that I did not touch at all, and the profit from 2018, the summer program for 2019 has a starting balance of $15,275.90. And that's all I have for you today.
Any questions? Thank you, Laura.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Tax assessor?
Tax assessors quarterly report. We'll start out with the revaluation that's on place as of December 31st, 18. They've completed the field review of all the parcels in the town. Someone actually drove by every parcel in the city. 208 sold properties where we tried to physically inspect them. They knocked on doors to try to get in. 204 permits for major permits, new buildings, additions, and major rehabs were done. They have made some adjustments to the tables as new sales come in. The commercial analysis and the residential updates are being worked on now. I just actually spoke with the gentleman that runs the company, Mr. Nagel. I spoke with him Monday. I should have numbers in a couple of weeks on the residential end, and commercial numbers I'll have by the end of the month. We're looking at mailing notices out approximately February 15th, with hearings starting on the 20th and running for 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what the how many people call. Past revals, I mean, I've worked on, I think it was like less than 2%, but numbers are going up quite a bit. Then we have to remind everyone that the tax rates are going to drop with the increase in the assessments. So you can't use the new, the old tax rate with the new value. A mistake a lot of people make.
So Sal, and
yes,
when you mail these out on the 15th of February,
yes,
and somebody has an issue, and they disagree with the assessment, what's the process? Is it for them to come in here and see you, go to the clerk's office?
No, on the notice, they will explain the process. They will either call or go to website, make an appointment for an informal hearing with one of the employees. We're going to be having them here in Town Hall.
The employee who did the assessment?
From the company that did that,
Yep.
yes. But that's before me. They've done all the work up to this part, so they keep on doing it.
Okay.
2 to 3 meetings a week. I think we're going to try to stay open maybe till like 6 or 7 o'clock on a couple of Wednesdays to accommodate people if we get that, and maybe a Saturday in there too. I know past managers didn't want to do it. I spoke with Ernie and he didn't see any problem. So we have someone here.
Jay, I know you might have some constituents reach out to you or whatever on their assessment. The one thing you want to let them know is to make sure they do their homework. I've actually appealed, and I've had people who appealed, and they come in with just their assessment and say, I don't think it's right. Personally, I've gone through, printed out houses that are equal or whatever it may be in my neighborhood.
Does this say this on?
No, it doesn't. It just says if you're going to appeal, you have the right to
Right,
appeal. But if anybody asks you, let them know to do their homework, because sometimes even if you want to get your own private self-assessment, you can do that also. You just got to let them know.
Right.
So what should we
Check out,
tell?
I mean, the first thing they should do is they should check the website or call us up and actually look at what we call their field card.
Okay.
Look at that, make sure everything's correct.
Yeah.
Number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, does it have a fireplace, doesn't it?
Make sure you don't have 2 sheds, 2 pools. That's
whatever.
happened, and it does happen on occasion. So you just got to make sure that you're reviewing the
Check
field
that
card.
out,
Okay.
and then from there, if they don't think it's, compare it to your neighbors. What's my neighbor's value? And it's all public information.
Right.
That'll be on there. Are my neighbors all are the same as me? Why is he 20,000 higher than me? Why is he $5,000 lower than me? Square footage, age of the house, a lot of different reasons. So, I mean, you can't just come in and say, well, it's not right.
Right, okay.
Why? Give us a reason. I live on, it's a very busy street. It should be maybe 5% less because of the traffic that's over here, or, it could be a lot of different reasons and stuff. And a lot of these things we have notes on already, so we'll be able to compare that all. I think you know that we've been billed $90,000 so far, which is a little more than half payment. The state will reimburse us 80% of the total, which was $158,000. Real estate in the office, we've done 90% of the sales through mid-December. Permits have all been updated, rather other than the ones that the revale companies have been doing. Our assessment board of review, they had their first meeting November 28th. We have a second meeting tomorrow with a workshop involved, and there'll be probably at least one more meeting after that, and they haven't made any decisions yet at this time. Tangible personal property, Mr. Vecchio, this is his busy time of year. Statements have been being mailed out. We're waiting for them to come back in from the businesses. He'll be making a lot of visits, different places, a lot of the new businesses that opened up over the year, and make sure that they're still open now that the holidays have settled. Motor vehicle, we won't start that until after Martin Luther King Day. That's the day the state normally runs all of their computers to get the list for all the different cities and towns. And some point after that, we'll start working on that. Some of the major changes in the motor vehicle tax this year is the state exemption is going up $1,000 up to $3,000. We're only using 85% of the book value on vehicles. Last year it was 90%, and our tax rate is still one of the lowest in the state, so that's not going to change.
So I understand the situation, how the formula works, but we're talking a 5 or 6 year phase out, and we're going down 5% a year. How are they planning on dropping that on the last year? You know, if we're doing, like, we went from 90 to 85, now you're talking for next year.
Right.
We're in year number 3.
Yes.
Now, in the next 3 years, you're gonna see 85% of your car taxes go down through this phase out?
Well, this 85, next year it'll be 80. It's going to go down 5% for the next 3 years after this, but also the amount of the exemption is going to be going up also by $1,000 each year. So that very last year where there is no tax, that's like the big.
It's gonna be like a 50, 60% reduction.
That's the big.
I'm just-
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
trying
it'd
to
be that we won't be sending anything out, and we'll be relying on the state to give us all of that money back. So keep on top of your representatives and senators. I think 2020, is it 20? It's either next year or the year after, where it was coming in by the act that was passed, where they'll be able to discuss it and whether they're going to keep on going through with it, because they were going to use the money.
That's what I'm saying, it looked
Yeah.
like a 6 year phase out, 5 to 6 year phase out, but the way it's looking, at 5% a year, it's almost looking, and plus the valuation going up to 1,000, you're looking at almost 10 to 15 year phase out, not a 6 year phase
Yeah.
out. So that's what I'm trying to
Well,
get
the
to.
last,
Every time the car tax bill goes out, I get those questions, and I have it in my email. I went through it before with our reps and senators, and we went back and forth with it, and it kind of doesn't make sense, and I'm just trying to get a better.
well, I know I was around for the one they started in 1997. It was supposed to be a 7-year program. By the time they got to year 4, it froze. And it stayed that way for 20 years until
Yeah,
they
it was $6,000.
took away 90% of it. And I don't know what it was like here in West Warwick when the bills went out, but in Cranston, the lines were, it was like unhappy hour. The lines were 4 deep at the counter, and no one knew what was going on. So, that's it.
Sal, the software that we approved, it's been installed, it's operational.
Yes,
Has
installed.
Has everybody been updated as far as training?
We've had some training. As we're going through, we're finding other questions that we have, and all our questions are answered on a very timely basis. But yeah, they're very good at Northeast Revale and all that. And it's worked, and it's, we've only been on it for about a month now and stuff, but it's very nice.
Any other questions for Sal? Thank you, Sal.
Thank you.
Thanks.
West Warwick Fire Department?
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I have a quarterly report. West Warwick Fire Department's been very busy during this quarter. We had over 1,700 runs. About 1,000 of those were EMS in nature. Cooking fires continued to be the leading cause of fires with 33 cooking fires. There were 8 structure fires in the town in that period. The Red Cross assisted with housing at 2 of those incidents. We also responded to 69 vehicle accidents with injuries, 16 carbon monoxide incidents. So I'd remind everyone also to check your smoke detectors and CO detectors, make sure they're operating. It's that time of year with the heat coming on for a longer period of time as it gets cold. So in addition to the emergency response duties, the department has been conducting a lot of different trainings and examinations. We had 59 members receive their ACLS, and that is Advanced Cardiac Life Support certifications. We gave 2 promotional exams for lieutenants and captains. We also gave an entrance exam, and along with that came a swim test and oral interviews. And we've established several committees within the department. One committee is looking at reviewing our standard operating guidelines, another with personal protective equipment, and a third with apparatus. One other committee that we do have is investigating staffing software. Right now, when we do our staffing, we're doing it by pretty much pen and paper. We use a computer. We use an Excel and Word, but everything's being done manually. So we're looking into software to help expedite the staffing process, and also will give us better accountability from a management standpoint of being able to see how our overtime and sick time and vacation time is being utilized. So one of the other committees is looking at a ladder truck. Our current ladder is a 1998 Sutphin platform ladder. It's over 20 years old. It's had several costly repairs. Members are diligently weighing the existing needs and cost-effective ways to provide ladder services for the future. During this period of time, the department has been short 5 firefighters. These 5 vacancies, along with 3 injuries that we've incurred and 1 member that's on light duty, left 9 open positions on the department. This has led, these openings have led overtime costs to increase. While the dollar amount that has been spent in the same time last year is within $300 of what it was last year, it's still 65 to 67% of what was budgeted for the overtime. Now, we've last week swore in 3 new firefighters. We have 2 firefighters that should be coming back from injury, and the high point of vacations are over. So we expect to see the overtime kind of dwindle, and that's why I use part of like the dollar amount from what we spent last year. We're in line with what was spent last year, even though it's higher than what the, where we are percentage-wise in the year. One other budget category, that, and I assume you all got that, I'm sorry, right? That did get sent out, I hope. That's, was the hydrants, and the reason that there's such a disparity between last year and this year is that this year there's only 2 quarters that have been paid. We just received the 3rd quarter bill, which will, it's $126,000 that will be processed and sent out. Lastly, we had Senators Reid and Whitehouse attend a truck dedication ceremony for our new Engine Company 3 in late October. At that ceremony, they acknowledged Battalion Chief Frank Parenti with a congressional proclamation for his 40-plus years of service to the West Warwick community. The retirement of Chief Parenti completed a 70-year run, a 70-year run, where Parenti was an active member of the West Warwick Fire Department. So we want to just make that mention. Any questions?
Any questions for Steve?
Are you, I'm sorry,
So, yep.
are you still using the same fund that Chief Barris had set up?
For
regarding
the apparatus
replacement?
replacement?
Yes.
Yes. So we have that apparatus replacement plan. What was budgeted for the ladder apparatus is on the low end between tariffs that have been put in and just a little bit of time between that initial establishment of that plan and what current costs are. There is a little discrepancy that we're working on.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks. Town clerk?
On the last quarter, land evidence, 1,494 documents were brought in. A little higher always in December as people kind of rushing before the end of the year. Business licensing, 26 new, 45 renewals, 7 one-day passes, 8 all others, which included 4 Bazaar, 40 week, 2 Class 1F, and 2 Sunday and holidays. 2 licenses were issued for collection bins in December. Liquor licensing, all the liquor licenses were up for renewal on December 1st. The Division of Taxation was behind in extensions were given until January 1st to comply. West Warwick only had 2 outstanding establishments which are due to be in compliance by the end of this week. Only an additional 7 dog licenses were issued. Most dog licensing is done by May 1st. The election went very successful. The new poll pads and the new responsibilities on the town did cause us to go over budget, so I will be asking for that budget to be increased in my upcoming budget. But all in all, the election went extremely well. Nothing major in probate. There were 28 marriage licenses during this period. Public records requests, there were 12. There were 2 claims sent to the trust. There was 1 zoning board of review meeting in November. Ordinance books were updated and new codification will take place in June. There were 6 town council meetings, 1 executive session, 1 special, and 1 show cause hearing. Budgets for the town clerk, town council, elections, probate, and zoning for FY20 have been sent to the town manager. Through retention schedules through the state, we are disposing of all the documents allowable. And all meeting calendars have been posted to the Secretary of State and the town council. We are on budget, or below budget, or on budget with all departments except for elections. That's all I have.
Any questions for the clerk? Thank you.
Discussion action?
I'll read it. What's the discussion action about?
Oh, I'm sorry. A letter regarding Spodnik versus West Warwick Town Council.
Mr. Solicitor, can you just go over this real quick with the
Yes.
council?
Yes, Mr.
And we touched base a few minutes
President.
ago on it.
Regarding agenda item M, Spodnik versus the town of West Warwick and the West Warwick Town Council, that was given OM complaint number 1831 by the Attorney General. In a letter sent to both the petitioner and the town of December 21st, 2018, clearly indicates that there was a May 2nd, 2018 complaint regarding the March 20th, 2018 Town Council meeting. The petitioner complained of the Town Council President's comments during ward reports. As it's clear from the letter, the Attorney General's job is to interpret and enforce the Open Meetings Act as the General Assembly has written this law and as the Rhode Island Supreme Court has interpreted its provisions. As such, the Attorney General found that the agenda item, which is known as ward reports, did not sufficiently specify the nature to the business to be discussed and therefore violated the Open Meetings Act, as it was vague and indefinite notice to the public and was lacking in specificity, excuse me. And in the future, as I indicated, we'll be working that ward reports shall require more specific notice. So for the councilman, if you want something in your ward report and you want to discuss it, it's going to have to be put on the agenda and provided to the clerk, usually by Thursday at 12 o'clock.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday at 12 o'clock. However, what's important for the council is that the Attorney General found insufficient evidence that the town council or any individual member of the town council knowingly and willfully violated the Open Meetings Act. Additionally, the Attorney General found that injunctive relief was not appropriate, nor any type of fine nor sanction. The Attorney General has closed the file. However, pursuant to the statute, the petitioner has the right to seek relief in the Superior Court under Rhode Island General Law 42-46-8-6. And specific, and I've printed up the 3 cases that were named, Tanner versus the Town of East Greenwich, 880 A. 2nd, 784. That's a 2005 case. Analik versus Zoning Board of Review of the City of Newport, 64 A. 3rd, 1171, a 2013 case. And then finally, Ponarelli versus Rhode Island Board Council of Elementary and Secondary Education, et al., 151 A. 3rd, 301, and that's a 2016 case. And basically what those cases said that you have to be more specific. You can't be vague. You can't just let it out there that it's just going to trail off into nowhere. So the Supreme Court originally indicated that the standard is somewhat flexible, but the contents of the notice reasonably must describe the purpose of the meeting or the action proposed to be taken. At that time, the court provided no bright line rule regarding the level of specificity of a posted notice. The court determined the appropriate inquiry is whether the public notice provided by the public body fairly informed the public under the totality of the circumstances of the nature of the business to be conducted. The 2 other cases basically gave more weight to that and more, as they say, meat on the bone, because in the zoning board matter in Newport, it was just an add-on that there was going to be an amendment to a zoning board decision wherein the petitioner was seeking more time. But in the notice, there was no name, there was no date, there was nothing referencing the zoning board petition, nothing referencing the property. So you just really have to dot your I's and cross your T's with the who, what, where, how, when, and why in these matters. And then Ponarelli, 2016, that was simply an approval of an executive pay plan and an organizational chart. But the court found that notice fell short of satisfying the statutory requirements because there were no indications regarding additional pay plans nor info as to the relationship of the plans to retrospective fiscal years. So at that point in time, the court again stated that based upon the totality of the circumstances, adequate public notice was lacking, which is what they found in this case. So in the future, as far as public comment, as far as ward reports, should a certain member or an individual member want something to be discussed, it's going to have to be on the agenda. Now, that does not indicate or mandate that if it's an emergency matter, the agenda cannot be amended at that point in time with a voice vote. But it has to be an emergency matter. It just can't be something that, you want to discuss about a tree coming down or a pothole or something along those lines. And as far as public comment is concerned, again, getting into some things I think that should be more developed in a workshop, as long as the public initiates the comment, the only response really that can come from the town council would be informational purposes only and not really getting into it, because that way you avoid it becoming an agenda item and you avoid the Attorney General ruling against the town council based upon this particular case. So for example, when David or the council president would say to the council, public comment, council first, you really can't hide behind public comment to get out your ward reports. But if someone from the audience initiates it, you can respond up to a certain point. But basically, it's for informational purposes only. But again, I think a workshop, and Councilman Messier indicated that he just went to a seminar over the weekend at Bryan College.
Yeah, the Hassenfield Institute.
That may be of assistance, and that way, into the future, not only will the council and department heads know what they can and can't discuss in public, but also the general public that attends these meetings and watches these meetings will know what to expect.
So can we, excuse me. So for council public comment, if it's not involving our ward, something involving the town, can we provide something for informational purposes?
Well, no, because it has to be initiated by the public, and for all intents and purposes, you're
So-
not considered the public when
So
you're
there is
sitting
no
here.
council public comment?
No.
Well, that's the question I have is, for instance, I have 3 items that I'd like to discuss with the council during public comment.
Yeah, from,
And one of them is, you know, to talk about reports and whatever that we just received and having a workshop. So when do I discuss that?
that was actually brought
Well,
brought up at the end.
That what's of interest and what the town manager I discussed on Friday was your town council agendas may cease to be 1 or 2 pages long. It might start now being 5, 6, or 7 pages long because, again, every time something happens and every time there's a complaint made to the Attorney General or goes through the Supreme Court, through the Superior Court to the Supreme Court, there's always specifics as to it relates to the facts. And if one person brings up a fact that should have been discussed or should have been provided through accurate notice, you have a problem. And I would think that the council would want to avoid any more complaints with the Attorney General or possibility of going to the Superior Court or Supreme Court.
While we're talking about this, can I give an example without getting into trouble? Yeah, it's a question. You know what, I'm gonna ask it because I think it's gonna affect all of us.
It's gonna affect us right now.
The St. Patrick's Day Parade, we all know it's coming up. If I were to put on the agenda St. Patrick's Day Parade, would that be suitable, or would I have to say,
No.
No.
How detailed would I have
It would
to
have
go?
to be more specific as to what you're discussing about St. Patrick's Day, about the parade, about, let's say, you had questions about police details. Let's say you
So
had
listen,
questions about
I've
bands.
gone through many agendas throughout the state, and nobody's gone that into, not one city or town is
Mr.
that
President,
detailed.
Mr.
so we're giving a
President,
report, basically?
Hold on. Mr. President, as I've indicated in the past, town ward reports have been available as long as I've been the solicitor without anybody ever making a complaint under the term ward reports. However, now a complaint has been made. You can do whatever you want as long as a complaint's not made, but once a complaint has been made, now you're rolling the dice. So you can piecemeal it and see what you can get away
So
with.
how do we know how much detail is allowed and acceptable?
Well, again, if you said something about the St. Patrick's Day Parade, if you were specific about police details, that's what you would put in your ward report.
What if it's just to inform the public about the parade coming up? I mean, even for the playground, if I would have put the playground up
You
on the
can-
next
you
ward
can- you
report.
can- But on a ward report, you can certainly announce anything related to economic development, holidays coming up, businesses.
What about how
anything to
how, when we put things on for discussion action? Those are kind of vague
Right.
too then, correct?
Right, but I mean, the more vague you get, the more in trouble you could get into if there was a complaint filed.
So if we put on there for ward reports, say we put, whatever, say put Church Street, and I'll give detail on Church Street. Can that spark a discussion amongst the council with any
For
questions or questions from the public?
informational purposes only. So for example, Cardy's handling the paving. Somebody wants to know, will there be a change order, and has there been a change order already provided to DPW, and how much is it, and where's that money gonna come from? You can't answer that question.
Okay.
It'd have to be on the agenda as an issue as it pertains to that change order, what the financial.
Unless the question is asked from the audience?
If the question's asked from the audience, now if you know the answer, informational purposes only, you may not know the answer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But you can ask me questions all night tonight, and half of them, I'm gonna be able to say, I can't answer them, because, again, that's why I wanted to put in, the Tanner case.
So if
where
you think
they
you've given
indicated-
enough detail,
Right.
get more.
Right, now, if there's a complaint made to the Attorney General, then the documentation on the agenda and the detail that's provided, plus the meeting minutes will be provided to them and say, listen, we thought we provided enough information, tell us if we haven't.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, well, again, at the end of this meeting, I mean, we have some stuff that we need to discuss as a council, in public comment, and how are we gonna do, we have 2 reports that are sitting in our hands right now from DPW and Sewer Department. And we need to discuss how we want to meet next week. Now, I can't do that via email, I can't do that via phone call, and it's not on the agenda tonight, so how do you do it?
Well, we can send a letter to Lisa Pincinel at the Attorney General's office and ask her the question. And then she's gonna fire back that, put it on the agenda for a meeting. And you can't have an open-ended one, so that allows you a little bit of wiggle room, because that's just gonna get you in trouble. But again, I think the council should have a workshop with its department heads, with the town manager, to go over what you can and cannot do. Because again, I don't think you're gonna need 15 pages of description as you wanna talk about, say, Church Street. But if you're saying the repaving of Church Street from this date to that date, from 303 Church Street to 400 Church Street, that more, like I said, who, what, where, how, when, and why, the more you could put in, great. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but it's gotta be at least, some type of foundation, so the general public will know what you're discussing.
And based on the complaint, I know why the person filed the complaint, because it was a personal matter between the two of us. I don't think the person had the intent of stopping ward reports in general, at all. I just think they had an issue with the comments that I made, and it was a personal issue, and Ms. Spotnik actually thought my comments about my personal issue with her issue was it. That's what I read in the complaint. I don't think that individual tried to stop all ward reports in general. I really don't.
However.
Well, however, that's what happened.
The unintended consequences of the
Correct.
complaint, I want to read this out loud. Nevertheless, this finding serves as notice to the town council that the conduct discussed herein is unlawful and may serve as evidence of a willful or a knowing violation in any similar future situation.
So they thought there was no problem before, there was no willful action, but now we're on notice that we need to
Exactly.
correct how our agenda is.
Exactly. And
put together.
stop it from being more freewheeling
Right.
and just an ongoing debate or an argument between members of the council and members of the general public, because somebody's going to raise the issue, because it's online that, well, for example, you say, going back to Church Street, let's just say for argument's sake, one of the people involved in your description of where work was going to happen wasn't notified, and they found out after the fact, and maybe they wanted to come to the meeting and let the council know what they thought about it. You're going to get in trouble. So, like I said, the best way to handle this, and I gave you guys a couple weeks back some of the information we had received from that seminar I went to about open forum and public comment that I'd ask you to review again, but it kind of gives you an idea of how this law has evolved over the past 20 years and where it's going. So, but if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
It was just an example, I'm not looking at it.
Hey,
Just so,
hypothetical.
everything started about Church Street getting repaved tomorrow, so.
Hypothetical.
All right. Move on.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Appeals Board, 1 alternate member with a term to expire 10/20/21. West Warwick Public Library Trustees, 4, term to expire 2/2019. Pension Board, 1 term to expire 11/18/2020, and 1 term to expire 11/18/2019. Board of Tenant Affairs, 1 term to expire 2/2019. Kent County Water Authority, 1 7-year term. Technology Committee, Ward 1, term to expire 12/31/18. Ward 2, term to expire 12/31/18. Ward 3, term to expire 12/31/18. Ward 4, term to expire 12/31/18. And Ward 5, term to expire 12/31/18. Public comment. Comments will only be addressed to the town council. We'll take them under advisement. When addressing the town council, please state your name and address. Please conduct yourself in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of citizens accessing this portion of our meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by this body, but heard as requested.
Public comment?
Chris Boucher, 44 Brat Lane. In regard to the OMA ruling, I am a little bit concerned about how this is going to go, and that someone will ask a question and then the response will be, I can't answer that at this time because of the ruling. Can a councilman follow up with that individual after the meeting later on in the week, and they can just say, that's a very good question, I'll follow up with you?
The town council person or an individual, as long as it's not a quorum of 3, can certainly speak about anything they want to speak about, because they are not a public body.
All right.
In and of themselves, an individual is not a public body.
All right, very good. All right, and another question in regard to that, if we run into a situation where that question cannot be answered, can it be added to the following agenda, the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.